Hi everyone, and thanks for joining today's webinar on building a more robust Power Platform strategy. I'm Jake from Marra, and I'm delighted to kick things off today. Before we introduce our main speaker today, which will be Steph, I'm delighted to welcome our partners from Microsoft, Owen and Francis, who are going to give us a little bit of their thoughts and insights today. So over to you, Owen and Francis.
Good morning, everyone. Hope you're having a fantastic Tuesday so far. First of all, thanks to the Marra team for working so closely with us over the past number of weeks on this very engaging webinar and a very important topic for councils and all organisations. From, I suppose, the past number of years from working with the public sector and working particularly in the business application space, we've kind of noticed a couple of different trends within the COE space and within the development of a COE within Power Platform. Those three trends are key to any kind of council, and they kind of revolve around defining clear objectives. So establishing a clear vision and setting objectives for your COE from the outset. Of course, governance and security. So this includes role-based access controls, say data usage guidelines, and then regular audits. But lastly, and probably most importantly, the last kind of the trend that we've noticed over the past 18 months is involving stakeholders. So involving key stakeholders from various departments to ensure that the COE's goal aligns with the broader organizational priorities. So those are the three trends from the past number of years that we've kind of noticed. So I'm going to introduce my colleague Francis, who is ready to go.
Thanks very much, Owen. Lovely to meet everyone. It's great to see a couple of customers on the call today as well. My name is Francis McGuire. For those of you that don't know me, I'm a BizOps specialist here at Microsoft. So I just want to mention briefly just about why Microsoft and Marra work so well together, and why we've come together today to kind of give you an overview of what's going on at the moment. So we both organizations have a shared vision for providing our customers with industry-leading technology and empowering them with low-code solutions. And we've unmatched expertise across, again, as I say, industry-leading technology with Microsoft, and the in-depth knowledge of Marra really stands out and has stood out for our customers in the past. We also have a proven track record across UK public sector, which I know loads of you on the call today work in. So look, it's great to have you all here today, and I'll pass you back over to Steph Thompson.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for that lovely introduction, and to the webinar and to me. So as you can see on the screen, my name is Steph Thompson, and I'm a principal consultant here at Marra. I specialise in delivery, business and digital transformation, and also in a previous life, software testing, as well as being the subject matter expert and co-creator of the Marra Centre of Excellence. I have worked in technology for over 20 years across multiple different sectors, including health, banking, financial services, startups, and consultancy, which has also incorporated local govs, corporate banks, plus many more. I am actually originally from a pro-code background, and made the switch across to low code. So I have experience in both worlds and have in-depth knowledge about how they can intertwine with one another and live in the same space. Anyway, that is absolutely enough about me. Let's move into what I will cover today and what you're ultimately here for. So today, I really want to cover 5 sort of key things with you. So firstly, just demystifying innovation and governance. So what does it really mean when we say that, and why have we chosen that topic? And secondly, it then leads nicely into why Marra champion a centre of excellence, and what exactly do we mean when we say centre of excellence, as it may not all be what it seems. For number 3, I'll move on to a COE case study where I can show you a representative example of a COE maturity assessment and the potential return you can get even from the initial stages. Then number 4, I'll then delve a little deeper into our Centre of Excellence maturity model and do a little bit of a live assessment with you so you can get a flavour of sort of what that entails, the type of things you can expect. And then finally, lucky number 5, I'll then touch on what working with us means and how we could potentially support you moving forward. Now, at this point, you may be thinking, that's a lot of talk about Centre of Excellence, and I'm pretty sure I joined an innovation and governance webinar, not necessarily a COE one. And that is absolutely fair. But let me take you on a little bit of a journey, and we can go on that journey together in this webinar. And as I progress through, I'll link the two together, as they fundamentally are the same thing. A COE can really bridge that gap between innovation and governance, ensuring that actually at each stage of your journey, you are free to innovate, but in a safe and secure way that is suitable for you and your world. But first, let's demystify a little bit. So innovation refers to the process of creating new ideas, products, services, or methods that bring significant improvements or solve existing problems. It involves transforming creative ideas into tangible outcomes that enhance productivity, performance, or meet unrecognized needs. Innovation it's crucial actually for economic growth, competitiveness, and addressing various challenges. It often involves multiple stages from idea generation and development to implementation and scaling. And then there's the governance side. And this very much refers to the frameworks, the processes and systems by which organizations, institutions, or societies are directed, organized, and held accountable. It encompasses the mechanisms through which authority are exercised, decisions are made, and stakeholders' interests are balanced to ensure safety and security of materials, assets, and of course, people. So getting the right balance between these two levers is really critical. And this leads nicely into how the support and guidance within a Centre of Excellence can provide a solution for that. So why do we champion a Centre of Excellence, and what is it all about? So we recognise that Power Platform provides a fantastic toolset for driving digital transformation. It's fast and it's low cost. However, it's important to foster and support innovation across the organisation whilst balancing with and being underpinned by governance and security. So building a Centre of Excellence is an important and necessary investment that supports and accelerates transformation in a controlled and safe manner. As a Microsoft Power Platform specialist, we understand this important balance, driving the innovation we crave at pace versus ensuring a well-governed and supported environment. And this is exactly why we have developed a Power Platform Centre of Excellence, which helps breaking the COE down into easy to understand top-level themes with in-depth associated topics. So this is not just guidance, but it's actually a real-world operational capability that accelerates the digital transformation where it's needed most. Our Centre of Excellence model helps transform the organisational use of Power Platform by establishing a deeply ingrained culture aligned with continuous improvement and empowerment, whilst also nurturing essential sustainability to prevent the implementation of shadow IT. So creativity is encouraged to flourish alongside the protective guardrails to ensure safe usage of Power Platform. The themes are the higher level concepts aligned to business transformation and evolution. And then beyond those themes are specific topics that go even deeper. So for example, within the technology theme, it delves into such topics as architecture, development, test, AI, automation, licensing. And the amazing thing about having the COE set up in this way is that you can focus on specific areas depending upon the needs of your organisation, because everyone is different, and that includes businesses too. They will all have different varying needs across the themes and topics, and that's where our maturity assessment can really help identify those, but more on that a little bit later. Now, if you search sort of Power Platform COE, the starter kit will come up. And it's often mentioned in conjunction with COE, and the two are sometimes often used interchangeably, but sometimes that isn't quite right. So the COE starter kit is a set of tooling that can support getting started with some of the elements of a COE. So if I utilize a quote from Microsoft, it's clear to see the intent of the starter kit. So the Microsoft Power Platform COE starter kit is a collection of components and tools that are designed to help you get started with developing a strategy for adapting and supporting Microsoft Power Platform. Whilst the starter kit is a great foundation for the tooling, what it doesn't represent is the entire COE, because managing a COE requires more than tools alone, which you can see from the visual on the screen. It needs both the ability to innovate with the ability to govern. It requires people, communication, standards, requirements, and processes. The tools provided in the starter kit are a means to get to the end goal, but the COE itself must be thoughtfully designed based on the organisational needs and preferences. The Marra COE takes the tools, enhances them even further, and creates functional capabilities within your organisation. And we have utilised Microsoft's foundations around governance, admin, and nurture to align with our themes and enhance even further across business and digital transformation. The last thing to mention here is that we always aim to build collaborative relationships, and we are a firm believer that a COE should be done with you and not to you. We think about continuous knowledge transfer and upskilling as we go. So the question you may be asking yourself at this stage is, well, why bother? What else is in it for me? And that is an absolutely great question. So there are many benefits linked to having a centre of excellence, but here are a few key items. So safety, security, and stability alongside standardization and consistency are at the core of a centre of excellence. The proactive structure minimizes the chance of mistakes and rework, which can lead to significant cost savings. A COE ensures that Power Platform investments are tied directly back to strategic goals, and this alignment helps improve service delivery speed, automate processes, and achieve meaningful business outcomes. The ROI on the platform is achieved by ensuring maximum innovation can be unlocked. A COE can help you understand the platform, how to use it effectively, and what can be achieved. And this enables teams to solve more problems using Power Platform, ensuring that licensing costs are fully maximised. And a COE provides a controlled environment for innovation, promoting continuous improvement and evolution. It focuses on user centricity and accessible design, which is critical for improving user experience. Building a support community which focuses on culture and collaboration whilst promoting empowerment, self-sufficiency, and upskilling. This accelerates learning and reduces dependence on external support, leading to lower costs and faster solutions. By increasing user knowledge and confidence levels, investment is maximised. There are fewer costs on unnecessary development and a better return on every pound spent. It creates a central hub for collaboration, reducing silos and integration challenges. It ensures smoother deployment and fewer issues across teams, ultimately saving valuable resources and effort. And finally, it promotes best practice, creating lower costs and faster delivery, with teams focused on building rather than fixing. Now, it doesn't always have to be a dedicated team. It can be intertwined within your current ways of working, as a lot of the concept around a centre of excellence relates to best practices, standards, consistency. So it doesn't always have to be the extra headcount. In fact, majority of the time, it is not. It's about being more effective and efficient with what you already have. So how does this all work in reality? You know, where do I start? What does that look like? So let me share an example with you. If you remember earlier on in the webinar, I shared the COE service model. So that was really the visual with all the themes and topics. Well, the COE maturity model is linked directly to this. It was developed in conjunction with the service offering model when identifying the different themes and topics and associated content that would relate to each of the COE maturity levels. And I'll come on to levels a little bit later because I'm conscious that I use the word levels quite a lot. So I will come on to that a little bit later. We built the maturity model by defining the appropriate criteria for each of the COE maturity levels across the themes and topics and linked attributed scoring mechanism to each. The maturity level automatically generates based on the collaborative interactions that we have together over the period of the assessment. A report is generated and provided at the end of the assessment, which provides you with a maturity score, graphs, metrics, and a whole bunch of other stuff. But most importantly, it provides tailored recommendations with a comprehensive understanding of the output with a clear pathway forward. It is all centered around continuous improvement and evolution. And every quarter, we recommend a reassessment, either as a standalone or incorporated as part of a delivery execution. And this is really to ensure it remains relevant, up to date, and obviously in line with your organizational needs and wants. The main benefit of the maturity assessment output is the support it provides you with implementing or enhancing your Power Platform capabilities with the delivery of a COE. It helps us understand where your organisation currently is, where you aspire to be, and how we can support you getting there. And as you can appreciate, and as I mentioned previously, everyone is different. Therefore, for one organisation, it could be changes around mindset, whilst for others, it may be linked to business culture or data requirements. Now, if that's not enough to get you excited, the execution of the maturity assessment can actually boost your score in real time. So let me show you an example of this. Now, within the example I'm going to show you today, some of the data is based off previous client experiences, but due to confidentiality, I cannot disclose names of organisations that have gone through this process. However, I can provide you with a generic example of the types of situations that have happened. So you will remember from earlier visuals that the COE themes, and these are what, again, you can see on your screen here. So the COE maturity assessment is based on these themes and at various levels depending upon the assessment level selected. This builds what we call the maturity criteria. So this will depend upon the assessment level that is selected. And during those collaborative assessment sessions, where it involves a lot of discussions, active workshops, and it utilises such methods as liberating structures, we start to form a picture based on the criteria within the maturity model. And at the end, each theme will be represented by a score, which is based off the weighting scoring I mentioned earlier. So you end up with like a summary shown on screen here. And as mentioned previously also, it's highly probable due to the collaborative nature of the assessment that your end score will have increased actually in real time, some by a little and some by a lot. We have seen some increases of up to 19%. And during these occasions, we have actually been able to evolve some of the themes. To provide a recent example, we significantly improved a client's score within the methodology theme as we supported them in defining and documenting their delivery and change process flows, something that they didn't have written down prior to the assessment. Now, earlier on, I promised you more information on levels. So we talk a lot about maturity levels, and I just wanted to bring that to life a little and be totally transparent. As I mentioned, every organisation is different and require different things. Therefore, it's not just simply a one size fits all. The maturity levels I'm about to discuss link actually both to the COE maturity assessment and the COE delivery model too. So before we head into the mini assessment that I mentioned at the beginning, let's start to have a look at those levels. They're a simple mechanism underpinned by criteria, formulas, and scoring. So the levels, as you can imagine, range from a starting point to an end point. And in this instance, it's the early adoption level light to a high performant level of platinum. Now, the early adoption level really begins with the light COE, which, as you can see, is for early adoption of Power Platform. So really putting the foundations in place for wider Power Platform utilization. So just enough in relation to the governance and innovation levers we talk about quite frequently. Whilst the platinum is a high performant level underpinned by high levels of automation and AI, and indicative timelines for COE implementation range from 12 days through to 18 months. 18 months being a full transformation program, starting from nothing to absolutely everything. So it will be within that sort of time frame. Now, whilst light is a low number of Power Platform assets and entry-level processes, and platinum is an exponential number of assets driven by actually really mature strategies, there are levels in between. So again, there is a suitable solution for all organisations. So there's median, which is a moderate number of Power Platform assets with predominantly high-level processes. Advanced then increases the number of Power Platform assets, further enhanced policies, and a deeper focus on automation. And then we go into comprehensive, and this is where it's a significant number of Power Platform assets with clearly defined strategies, and automation and AI being a core attribute before moving into platinum. Now, I do have a slight trump card as such, as there is a COE level 0, which is defined as an entry level. And this is where it's mainly personal apps being created for internal use. And the foundational COE is not strictly a maturity level, it's more a practical solution for an immediate, sustainable level of governance to get you going in the right direction and provide practical solutions for short-term support across innovation and governance. It's light touch and it covers all 8 themes. Over a 12-day consultancy period, it efficiently accesses your existing capabilities across core themes and provides clear steps to build and operate a foundational COE. The maturity assessment option levels start from light, as that really allows an understanding across the majority of the themes at a deeper level, rather than at a more surface level like the foundational side. And the assessment, if required, can expand right up to platinum. The maturity assessment is not just looking at Power Platform, it's looking at all aspects of digital transformation, business strategy, and things you'll actually already have in place. It connects what you currently have across your organization and Microsoft with Power Platform. So even if it may be the start of your Power Platform journey, it's not necessarily the start of your COE journey. An organization can define their own pathway and aspirations of where they want to be now and in the future. Okay, so now for the fun part of this section. In the poll earlier on, we asked about, where you were on your, your Power Platform journey, and I would like to run a really high-level mini assessment with you today, which is actually based off criteria across the foundational and light COE. And this will just provide you with a flavour of what it entails at an exceptionally high level, of course, but it can also help to determine a potential way forward and what solutions may be right for you. So please take your pens or paper, whether you have a digital notepad, a tablet or a smartphone, whatever you want to record in is absolutely fine, and I will begin. There are 8 questions, and it's simply just a yes/no answer. Now, you don't have to share your results with me or with anyone else in this webinar. It's simply just for you and your own data points. So if you think you have a partial answer, so it's not a complete no, but it's not a total yes either, please do track a partial scoring if it's relevant. So capture it as a 0.5 as such. These questions are mainly in relation to Power Platform, but as mentioned earlier, there are some that apply to wider and more general ways of working, no matter what software is being used. As, like I mentioned, it focuses on transformation elements too. I'll let you know those particular questions as we progress though. Okay, so let's start with our first question. So question number 1. Do you have a clear purpose and mission for Power Platform? So think about from your organizational perspective, you may have a business strategy, an organizational strategy. Is there a section in there, or is there a dedicated Power Platform vision and mission or strategy of your organization? Like I say, it can be a yes, no answer, or it could be we partially have something, or we have a view of where we want to be. So think about this as your vision and mission around Power Platform. Do you have a view of where you want to get to? Okay, question number 2. Do you have a clearly defined RACI supporting Power Platform with identified champions? So this is all around accountability roles, people who are consulted and informed, and maybe there's champions that are around your business. So, are there people that you go to if there's a Power Platform question or a challenge, or you want to know more information? Do you have a set of champions that are in your organization that you can go and speak to? Do you have clear roles and accountability across your current Power Platform, capabilities? So really think about this around roles and responsibilities and actually any champions that you have in the business today. Question number 3. So do you have data and security policies in place aligned to RBAC for Power Platform? So this is role-based access. So, have you got the various different security policies and data policies in place, so you can see exactly what's happening in your platform, in your wider architecture across Power Platform. So are there various different policies that you have implemented, whether it's as a standard to Power Platform or specific to your organization? Excellent. Question number 4, halfway there. Do you have a defined change management and delivery methodology process? So I promised before that if there's any questions that aren't specific to Power Platform, I would say this is one of them. Absolutely. So have a think about in your organization how you do change, how you deliver changes, new projects. Is there a clear view of where you start and end, how an idea is generated, how it's taken through discovery into delivery and then implemented into production? Is there a clear process and view of how that is all done in your organization today? Like I say, it doesn't have to be specific to Power Platform. It can be more generic, but yeah. Perfect. And question number 5, again, a little bit wider than Power Platform. So this is around the technology uses, really. So do you utilize standardized tech processes across dev, test, and release? So do you have a clear release process, route to live, development standards, coding standards? Do you use testing industry practices? So thinking about actually, do you have consistent ways, to do the various different deliverables from a technology perspective? Wonderful. Next question. Do you have a component process in place to identify business critical and frequently used apps? So this is all in relation to reporting and monitoring. So are you aware if any of your Power Platform assets are business critical or ones that are continually frequently used? So you can identify potentially single points of failure, understand security, data elements. So just thinking about actually everything that is being created, can you pinpoint where you've got business critical functions and features being used, or like I say, just frequently used apps across your organization? Okay, last couple of questions. Do you utilize a tooling repository? So I've put here minimum of Power Platform, but think about this of all the different tools you utilize to execute delivery on. Do you have a clear repository of what they are, what they're used for, who has the access to them, how you potentially get new ones, how they're utilized, how access is given, all that sort of stuff really. Now, if there isn't any for Power Platform, but you do have a wider repository and you plan to add to that, you can absolutely take credit for that at this stage too. Wonderful. Now for the final question and then the big reveal. So the final question is, do you capture requirements in a standardized format? Now, this doesn't necessarily mean it has to be of a particular industry standard. It could be a standard that is utilized internally in your organization that you've defined. It could be, any standard really that you have in your organizations. There may be multiple, but it's just understanding that actually when you start to generate requirements, is there a consistent way that you do it based on, certain number of criteria? Okay, so if you can please count up your scores, you get 1 point for each yes, 0 for a no, unfortunately, and 0.5, as I mentioned before, for a kind of partial answer. This is where I need some background music, which I definitely don't have. Right, so your total should be somewhere between 0 and 8. And hopefully all your results have now been counted and verified, and you have yourself an output. So let's move on to the results. Okay, so the countdown suspense. Let's start. Okay, so if you scored 0, please don't be alarmed. It can simply just mean that you are either at the beginning of your journey or you haven't started your utilization of Power Platform yet. And all of that is absolutely fine. We can talk to you about how you get started. Moving into the next category, so 1 to 3. So this can mean you are progressing with your COE journey and you may have challenges in specific areas, or you're in the midst of your Power Platform implementation. progressing even further, if you score between 4 and 6, you are definitely progressing towards the implementation of a COE. You may just need support for the final few elements, or simply haven't just got there yet on the journey that you're taking. And then finally, if you scored 7 or above, this is fantastic and could represent that you are well on your way to either already having at least a foundational COE, but well on your way to a light COE. And you may even be looking on how to actually progress your COE even further, which is where the next levels come in that we mentioned before. So moving into median and beyond. Now, anything further that you want to know, please feel free to reach out, as I appreciate this provides a really super high level summary without the extent of the assessment itself. So you may score higher in the assessment, but before I go, I just wanted to provide you with a small amount of information regarding working with Marra and what that could potentially look like. So initially, we would have a discussion, understand you a little bit better, understand your situation, what it is you're looking for, and how we could potentially help you on your journey. Understand you and your organization, delving into the best solutions and approach for you, and ensuring it's tailored to what you need. Now, stage 2 is really the maturity assessment that we just discussed, and that we just did a mini assessment checkpoint on. It's the next logical step to understanding you in greater detail, meaning which of the themes and topics are most important to you, and actually looking at what you're wanting to achieve with the platform. We do the assessment with you and not to you, as I've previously mentioned. It's very much a collaborative experience where we assess and hopefully improve your maturity scoring. We don't just advise you to implement everything. That would be far too much of an overhead. We advise on which themes and topics are important for you and your current business and technical maturity. Now, if we run the example of proceeding post the assessment, I just want to give you an outline of how things might progress, just so you understand what the complete COE journey might look like. The maturity assessment tells us exactly what needs to be put in place during the COE delivery phase, which is essentially the implementation of the COE. So this advisory section is in the form of a report and playback, which details all the things you need to know and do to progress where you want to be. The detail in here is phenomenal and can support a whole range of different ways forward, whether you're interested in specific themes or topics or levels. Again, it's tailored to what you need. Once the report and playback has digested, it's then for you to decide how you want to proceed with that. Is it with internal staff and doing it yourself? Is it the support of a Power Platform specialist consultancy? I think I may know one of them. Or is it a mixture of both? And then following on from the delivery, it's then running it, maintaining it, and evolving it as you go. And the report provides a backlog, and the delivery will review and prioritize that with you. But before I leave today, I wanted to summarize with 4 key takeaways from today's webinar. So number 1, our COE model is flexible, adaptable, and tailored to the individual needs and preferences of an organization. We provide the guidance, the expertise, and pathway for progression. It is all centered around continuous improvement and evolution, putting you in the driving seat. Number 2, we utilize Microsoft's foundations around governance, admin, and nurture, and enhance into wider business and digital transformation themes. Number 3, a COE maturity assessment provides guidance and the foundations for the levers we have discussed throughout this webinar: innovation and governance, and working with you to identify your current capabilities within our model. And finally, number 4, the Marra COE implementation can focus on specific themes depending on the needs of your organization, whilst incorporating the content of the Microsoft COE Starter Kit, feeding from the output of your maturity assessment. So thank you so much for your time today. And as a quick recap, we've covered several topics in today's session. So first, we demystified innovation and governance. We then discussed why we champion a Centre of Excellence here at Marra, whilst also actually showcasing a COE maturity assessment case study. I shared the levels of a COE and what they actually mean, and also brought to life a little bit the maturity assessment with a mini self-assessment, and then finally shared how you could possibly work with us here at Marra. And I hope from today you have got greater insight into how you could increase your Power Platform adoption by balancing innovation and governance, leading into the evolution of a dedicated Centre of Excellence. And if you want to know any more information, or you have additional questions, or would simply like to reach out to me, please feel free to contact Jake or I directly, of course, and alternatively reach out on our contact page.